Hi everyone, today I'm going to demonstrate how to make my basic beginner's crochet basket. This pattern is worked in a spiral from the centre of the base, around and around, gently increasing and then ending with working up the sides. I'll be using Nova Vita. This is a cord from DMC made from recycled cotton, and for this yarn I use a 10mm crochet hook. You'll need a pair of scissors and a darning needle. So to begin with, you'll need to make a slip knot. To do this, you take your yarn tail, place that to the right. Your working yarn, you're going to create a loop over the top of the tail, and then you're going to pass the working yarn underneath and through the hole, and then pull tight so that the left hand side of the slip knot is the one that's moving and not your tail end. So just to repeat, make a loop and pull the working yarn through. We have a slip knot ready to start crocheting with. As this is for absolute beginners, I'll be breaking down some of the process in a little bit more detail than I perhaps would normally for an existing crocheter. To begin the basket, you need to make 2 chains. To do this, you yarn over and pull the loop through. That's chain 1. Yarn over, pull through. That's chain 2. We now have 2 chains and a loop still on the crochet hook. The next step is to put 6 double crochet stitches into this initial chain, just underneath the back loop here. So, to create a double crochet stitch, insert hook, yarn over, pull your yarn through, yarn over, take your yarn through both loops that are on the hook. So to create that double crochet stitch again, in the same hole, insert hook, yarn over, pull loop through. You now have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, take off those 2 loops. We now have 2 chains, 1, 2. We've got to put 4 more in there. Insert hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, remove those 2 loops. I'm going to put 3 more stitches in here. We now have 6 stitches in our work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That makes the first round of the base of our basket. Round 2 is an increasing round, so we're going to put 2 double crochet stitches into each of our previous stitches. This time we're going to work under what we call the front loop and the back loop of the stitch. This is the front loop, this is the back loop. So we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, 2 off. There's our first double crochet stitch. We're going to add another double crochet stitch into that same stitch, until we have 2 stitches in the same hole. This is known as a 2 double crochet increase. Now a sensible thing to do would be to take a stitch marker and mark the first stitch in this round, which is the first stitch in this pair. So we're just going to put the stitch marker under the front and the back loops. I'm going to continue around this circle now, placing 2 double crochets into each and every stitch until I reach the stitch before the stitch marker. So now I've reached the stitch before the stitch marker. Remember, this was the first stitch of the round. In that final stitch, I'm going to add another 2 double crochets. 1, 2. You should now have 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The next increase round, we're going to add 2 double crochet stitches to increase, and then we're going to place 1 double crochet in the next stitch. We're going to do 2 together, 1 on its own, 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 until we reach our first stitch again. So I've removed the stitch marker. I'm going to place my 2 double crochets in that first stitch. 1, 2. I'm going to put my stitch marker in the first of those stitches. So that's our increase stitch. We're now going to do a single double crochet on its own into the next stitch. Now we're on the increase stitch, so we're going to put 2 together, 1, 2, and 1 on its own. Two together, and then 1 on its own. The double crochet stitch creates a V shape. So 2 of those bars point towards the hole. So we know we've got 1 stitch in that hole. Here we've got 2 V's pointing into the hole. So we know we've got 2 stitches in there and just 1 stitch in there. So I'm going to finish up putting 2 in each, followed by 1 on its own until I reach the stitch marker. And here I am back at my final stitch. I'm just going to place 1 stitch in there. You know you've done your counting right if you end this round on 1 double crochet on its own. So the next round, again, we're going to do 2 double crochets together, And this time we're going to do 1 double crochet in its own followed by another double crochet in its own. So the stitch pattern repeat is 2 together, 1, 1, 2 together, 1, 1, 2 together, 1, 1, and so on. Again, out comes the stitch marker, 2 double crochets into that first stitch, place my stitch marker back into the first stitch, and now I'm doing 1 double crochet followed by 1 double crochet. 2 together, 1, 1, 2 together, 1, 1, 2 together, 1, 1, 2 together. I'll carry on till I reach the end. Here I am at my last set of stitches, 2 together, 1, 1. So now we count the stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Round 5 is our final increase round. This time we're going to place 2 stitches together, then 1, 1, 1. Out comes the stitch marker, 2 stitches in its place, 1, 2. I'm going to mark that first one, and then we're going to do 1 double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3. So we've got our stitch repeat, pattern repeat there now, 2 together, 1, 1, 1. 2 together, 1, 1, 1. I'm going to complete that now, and I'll see you at the end of the round. Here we are, the final stitch increase. One, 2 together, 1, 2, 3. We're now at the end of the increase rounds. So we've now basically created the base of the basket. To create the sides of the basket, we quite simply place 1 double crochet stitch in every stitch, around and around and around, until we have about 13 rows in total. You can count these rows the same way by placing your double crochet in your first stitch, popping in the stitch marker, and then you're simply going to put 1 double crochet in each and every stitch all the way around the basket. At first, nothing will seem to be happening, but as you work through your rows, the sides of the basket will begin to appear. Here I am, back at the start of that first row. You can actually see that the sides of the basket are turning upwards. I prefer the front stitches to be on the outside of the basket, so at this point I'll just flip the basket outwards like so, so that as I continue to place my stitches in, the front of the stitches are always facing towards me, and I'll end up with my preferred finish on the outside of the basket. So simply all you're doing now is continuing to add 1 double crochet to each and every stitch all the way around the basket. The other thing I would advise you do is count your stitches at the end of each and every row. I forgot to mention at the end of row 5 we should have had 30 stitches. The pattern for this basket is available on my Cotton Pod website. It's called simply the Beginner's Basket. And the pattern will give you the exact instructions that I've been demonstrating today. When I get to the end of this row, I'm going to count those stitches. Always a good idea to do that especially when you're starting out, because sometimes we can accidentally add some extra stitches in places where we don't need them, and you're better off finding out straight away than when you've got 2/3 of the way through the basket. You really don't want to be pulling it all back and starting again. And here we are at the last stitch, so we're going to do a quick count. We should have 30 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Brilliant. It's a good idea to shape your basket as well as you go along. At this point we could tidy up this end. You need a needle with a large eye, and you'll find if you try to use the sharp end of the needle to sew these ends in, you can accidentally pass through the cord, which you don't want to do. So I turn the needle upside down and I thread the cord upside down. I thread the needle upside down underneath the cord, like so. So I try to hide it under a few stitches. If you go all the way round under each stitch, you can pull that hole tight if you're not happy with the hole, but I don't think anything really is going to fall through. I can pull that tight and then find a place just to put the final end. And snip that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish creating the rounds, the final rounds of the basket, and then I'll come back to you at the end to show you how to tie and fasten off. I've now come to the end of my cord. This cord I've got is slightly shorter than the cord that I used to make this basket. So I've stopped this at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 rounds. A full ball like this one should get you 13 rounds of the basic basket. So to finish off the basket, simply take your hook out and pull the cord like so. Take out your stitch marker. We are going to create a mock stitch now. So we're going to thread the needle. Then we're going to miss a stitch, so we're going to leave this stitch alone. And then the stitch after that, we're going to take the yarn underneath the front loop and the back loop so that the yarn follows the path of this stitch that we've missed. It's going to go over the top of that, and then we're going to go back down this hole here where the cord came from. Like so, I'm going to put the needle into here, and if we fold the basket towards us, you can see that back loop plus this hidden loop here, and we're going to place the needle underneath both of those loops. Pull that through so that it looks like we've just carried on crocheting round. Then with the end, you're going to find a natural path underneath the stitches. Again, I'm using my needle upside down so that I don't accidentally try to pass it through the cords itself, because then you get in a right mess. So I'll probably try to go under 7 or 8 stitches to hide my cord down the side of the basket. There we go. Ooh. So when I'm happy I've tucked that cord under enough, I'll just snip the end off. There we go. Just snip that off there. And there's your finished basket. The beginner's basket. If you've enjoyed making that basket and you'd like to stretch your basket making skills further, I have a range of basket patterns on the website using a crochet knit stitch, which is a denser stitch, so you get a quite sturdy basket. I have 2 knit stitch patterns. One creates a bowl and one creates more of a container design. And then I have a pattern that makes use of double crochet cross stitch. So these are great patterns if you want to learn new stitches and create different effects. Then there's a special kind of slip stitch edging around the top of that basket. And I also have a pattern for a square base basket too. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial today. If so, please like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll make some more in the future. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.